Welcome to the Bhagavad-Gita class here at the Vedanta Society of Greater Houston. Again, we're still experimenting as we did on Sunday, so I'm just going to check to make sure everything is going well with the video. Let me see. It says live, but I don't see anything happening yet. Let's see. But I don't see anything. Now I do. Okay. Okay. Now let me turn this off, and we will begin. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad-Gita Bhavadveshinim Vasudeva Sutan Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. So we will begin the Bhagavad Gita basically where we left off before I went to India for the whole of March and part of April. But because it's been so long, and since we were in the middle of a chapter, let me do a little review with the very beginning of the chapter, chapter 10 we are on, the chapter on the divine manifestations or the Vibhuti Yoga, the yoga of the divine manifestations, chapter 10. So let me go to the beginning, and then I'll go to Arjuna's question, and then to Sri Krishna's, the beginning of his answer, and then continuing where we left off, again, since it's been a long time since we met together. So as those of you who have been following this class know, Madhusudana Saraswati, one of the great commentators on the Gita, a non-dualistic commentator, but one who started out as a devout Vaishnava and a great devotee of Sri Krishna, and remained a great devotee of Sri Krishna, though he became in time an Advaitin. He says that the Gita is divided into three parts: the first 6 chapters, second 6 chapters, and the third or last 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters, he says, deals with the nature of the self of every being. Who am I? The second 6 chapters, from 7 until 12, which we're in the midst of now, deals with the nature of God. And the third 6 chapters, from 13 to 18, deal with the relationship between the soul and God. And so we can't press that too far, because each section deals with each of those 6 sections of 3, each of those 3 sections of 6 chapters contains something about all 3, the self, the divine, and the relationship. But there is a discernible emphasis in this analysis of Madhusudana Saraswati. And as he says, it is based on the Vedic dictum, the Mahavakya, or great saying of the Vedas, found in the Chandogya Upanishad, Tattvamasi, thou art that. You, the individual, are the supreme reality. And so the first 6 chapters deal with the nature of you, Tvam. The second 6 chapters deal with Tat, that is the divine being, the supreme self, the self of the universe. And the third 6 chapters deal with the relationship between them. And so this chapter is in the midst of the 6 devoted to the nature of the divine being. And you find really from chapter 7 through chapter 12, the emphasis certainly is on the nature of the divine being, the God, the Purushottama, the supreme person, the self of the whole universe. And chapter 10, Sri Krishna reveals his vibhutis, that is, his divine manifestations. So at the beginning of chapter 10, Sri Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhuya eva mahabaho Shrinu me paramam vachaha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami hitakamyaya. So here he says, O Mahabaho, O mighty armed one, listen over again to my excellent utterance, which I, wishing your welfare, shall speak to you who take delight in it, you who are priyamana, tatte priyamanaya, to you who delight in that which I have to say. I will speak to you now. And then he says in the second verse, Name vidu suragana prabhavam namaharshayah ahamadir hidevanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. Just a moment. It sounds to me like something happened to the sound. So let me see. Let me do a link. It's not connecting. Now, hopefully it is. I'm going to turn this back on to see, because again, this is an experiment, so excuse the unprofessionalism. That's due to a very unprofessional audio-video recorder. So I'll go ahead, assuming that we are still recording and that you can still hear me. And then when my phone is turned all the way on, then I'll stop. Oh, it's already here. So let me go to see once again if we are actually being recorded and heard. So I have to go to, it's going to take a minute. Okay, now. Now we're coming in. Oh, Gita says it's coming okay. Okay, so I'll assume that it's going okay. Good. Thank you, Gita ji. And I saw a message of Mridula pass by also, though it was too fast to see. Mridula, you have to slow down a little so I can see. Okay, so again, we'll assume that we're going fine. So verse 2 says, Name vidu suragana prabhavam namaharshayah ahamadir hidevanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. So neither the gods nor the great sages know my lordliness, my prabhavam. Prabhavam can mean lordliness. It can also mean my beginning. They don't know where I have come from, my source. Because I'm the source of everything. I'm the source of all. So how could they possibly know my source? And again, Prabhavam also means lordliness. The same root comes from the same root as Prabhu, the Lord. Prabhu, Prabhavam. So neither the gods nor the great sages know my lordliness, for in all respects I am the source of the gods and the great sages. So then in verse 3 he says, Yo mam ajamanading cha veti loka maheshwaram asammudha samartyeshu sarva papai pramuchyate. I'm going to turn this off. So again, excuse all of these distractions, because otherwise this will keep making noise. Again, verse 3 says, He who knows me, yo mam ajam anading cha vetti. He who knows me as ajam, unborn, anadim, without any beginning, because I'm the beginning of everything. I'm that which exists before everything. And I myself have no beginning. Loka Maheshwaram, the Lord of the worlds. One who knows me as such, asammudha samartyeshu sarva papai pramuchyate. Such a one is undiluted among living beings. Most of us live a life of delusion, and that can't be doubted. We live a life within delusion, but such a one is undiluted and is freed from all evil. So again, Sri Krishna goes on speaking about his own nature, etc. But then we come to verse 12 and several after that, where Arjuna asks a question, and Arjuna says, Arjuna vacha param brahma param dhama pavitram paramam bhavan purusham shashvatam divyam adidevam ajam vibhum ahustvam rishayas sarve devarshir naradas-tatha asito devalo vyasah swayam chaiva bravishime. So instead of going through word by word and explaining, let me just read the running translation to save time so we can get to the new material. This again is just to give background and momentum so we can come up to where we were. You, Arjuna says, you are the supreme Brahman, the supreme light, the supreme sanctifier, that is the supreme purifier. All the sages, as also the divine sage Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, call you as the person, this Purusha, the supreme person, Purushottama, the person, Purusha, the eternal, the divine, the primal God, Adi Deva, the birthless, the omnipresent. And you yourself, O Krishna, you yourself tell me so. So then he goes on, verse 14, Sarvametadritam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidur deva nadanavaha. O Keshava, I accept to be true all this that you tell me. For, Lord, neither the gods nor the demons comprehend your glory. So I accept what you say, because again, Arjuna has already been taught now for some time by Sri Krishna, from the 2nd chapter where Sri Krishna begins his instruction until now in the 10th chapter. The variety of instruction has been given to Arjuna, and his eyes are beginning to open. And then verse 15, Swayamevatmanatmanam vettatvam purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. O Supreme Person, the Creator of beings, O Krishna, you who are the Supreme Person, you who are the Creator of beings, the Lord of beings, the God of gods, Deva Deva, the Lord of the worlds. By yourself, you know yourself in your real nature. Meaning that, O Krishna, no one knows you. You alone know who you are. You alone know yourself. And the extent of your glory, the extent of your divine being. And then 16, Bhaktumarhasya sheshena divya hyatma vibhutayah yabhir vibhutibhir lokan imams tvam vyapya tishthasi. Since those manifestations through which you exist, O Krishna, by pervading these worlds are divine, therefore you should be pleased to speak in full of your own manifestations. So again, Arjuna is telling Sri Krishna, you should be pleased to speak of your manifestations because you yourself exist pervading this whole universe. The whole universe exists in you. You manifest in everything. So then verse 17, Katham vidyamaham yogis tvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. O yogi, addressing Sri Krishna as yogi. Here, of course, by yogi, he means one who is the supreme yogi, the Lord of yogis, Yogesha. O yogi, how shall I know you by remaining ever engrossed in meditation? Meaning, in what way shall I remain engrossed in meditation so that I can know you? And through what objects, O Lord, are you to be meditated on by me? And as I explained in a previous class when dealing with this particular verse, Arjuna is saying that I'm not capable of knowing you as you are. I am aware of this world of objects, this world around me, this world of that seems to be an objective external world. I know things here that I can think about. So in what manifestations here that I can see, that I can hold, how should I think of you? Again, he wants something tangible so that he can engross his mind in meditation. Therefore, he says, the end of his question, Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim jajanardana bhuya kathaya triptirhi shrinvato nasti me mritam. Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim jajanardana. O Janardana, O Sri Krishna, tell me again your own yoga and your manifestations exhaustively. Bhuya kathaya, tell me again. Triptirhi shrinvato nasti me mritam, because hearing your immortal words, I never reach a point of satiety. That is, I always want to hear more. And so then Sri Krishna says in verse 19, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Handate katayishyami, O my child, I will tell you. Devya hyatma vibhutaya, my divine manifestations. Pradhanyata kuru shreshta nastyanto vistarasya me. Pradhanyata, according to importance. That is, he begins with the most important, as I explained when we went over this verse. O Kuru Shreshta, O greatest of the Kuru lineage, which Arjuna belonged to. Nastyanto vistarasya me. There is no end to the extent of my vibhutis, of my divine manifestations. So now, again, in verse 20 and 21, he gives the very essence of the Vedanta. And those, as I said when we went over those verses, are the most important of the vibhutis, the manifestations of the divine being. And so now let us come to verse 23 and move forward from there. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vitesho Yaksharakshasam Vasunam Bhavakas-chasmi Meru Shikarinamaham. So here again, he's coming down to more specific things that he can be meditated as. And in these vibhuti, these manifestations he's talking about now, you'll see that he is always the most excellent among a group of or a classification. He's the most excellent among a classification of things. So among the Rudras, again, remember that the Gita, the Mahabharata and the Gita, within the Mahabharata, were still within the Vedic age. They were near the end of the Vedic age, but they were still within the Vedic age. The Vedic age, again, ended with the coming of the Buddha. But this was long before that. But from a historical perspective, it was late in the Vedic age. And so at that time, the Vedic gods were dominant. They were the gods of the Vedic people. And there were various classes of gods. And within a particular class, there would be a certain number of deities. And so among the Rudras, there was a class known as the Rudras. There was Rudra himself, who later became Shiva, the classical deity Shiva, whom we worship. But in the Vedas, Rudra was the progenitor of Shiva. And there was also the class of Rudras. And so among the Rudras, Shankaras Chasmi, I am Shankara. I am Shankara among the Rudras. That is, among this classification of deities, I am Shankara, who was the greatest. So just, not that it's important, but in case you're interested, those of you who like to go into great detail, the 11 Rudras were, or are, I shouldn't say were, they are, Aja, Ekapada, Ahirbudhya, Pinaki, Aparajita, Triambaka, Maheshwara, Vrishakapi, Shambhu, Harana, and Ishwara. But different Puranas gave different lists of these 11 Rudras. But here he says, among these 11 Rudras, I am Shankara. Shankara means what? It means he who makes Kara, everything Sham. Shanno mitra sham varunaha, shanno bhavatvar yama. Sham means auspicious or good and glorious. So one who makes everything auspicious. So of course related to the name Shiva, which means the auspicious one. So among the Rudras, I am Shankara. Vitesha Yaksha Rakshasam. Among the Yakshas and the Rakshasas, or the Rakshasas, among the Yakshas and the Rakshas, I am Vitesha. Vitesha means the Vita Isha, Vitasya Isha, the Lord of wealth. And so, of course, it means Kubera, the Lord of wealth, the god of wealth. And of course, Kubera was always a minor deity. Kubera was never the god who was worshipped, except for those who were miserly and who wanted more and more wealth. But Kubera was always a minor deity, and so he was among the yakshas, a classification of demigods, mythological beings. So among those yakshas and rakshas, I am Vitesha, that is Kubera, the Lord of wealth. Vasunam Pavakas Chasmi. And among the Vasus, I am Pavaka, that is, I am fire. So the Vasus were another class of Vedic deities. There were Ashtavasus, 8 Vasus, and Pavaka, fire, was one of those. And so among the Ashtavasus, among the 8 Vasus, I am Pavaka, fire. Why? Because fire is the most glorious of all of the Vasus. That which fire is the great purifier, that which burns to ashes and reduces everything back to its the components. Everything is reduced through fire into its seed state. And then Meru Shikarinamaham. I am among the Shikaris, among the peaks. I am Meru, the mythological mountain, which was considered to be the axis of the world, the polar axis of the world. The world spins around Meru. So yes, of course, it's a mythological mountain, but it was important in the Vedic cosmology and later Hindu cosmology as well. So Meru or Sumeru, the great mountain. And so among the peaked mountains, I am Meru. And then 24, he says, Purodhasam chamukhyam mam vidhi partha brihaspatim senanina maham skandha sarasamasmi sagaraha. So Purodhasam chamukyam mam vidhi partha brihaspatim. O Partha, know that among the Purohits, the priests of the gods, know that among the priests of the priests of the kings, among the priests of the kings, I am Brihaspati. Brihaspati was the guru and the priest of Indra, king of the gods. And so Brihaspati was a kingly priest, and he was the head priest. And so among the priests of the kings, know that I am Brihaspati. Brihaspati, of course, who in celestial terms is Jupiter, the planet Jupiter. And of course, it's the name of the day of the week, Thursday. So Thursday is the day of Thor, the Scandinavian or Nordic god Thor, which we say in English Thor. But the Scandinavians is Thor, except I think in Icelandic it's Thor also. They have that TH sound like English. And so the Thor also is identified with Jupiter. It's very interesting. This is just a minor point of interest, that the days of the week that we have and the days of the week that the Romans had, and the Scandinavians, the Nordic people, and the Vedic people, they all had the same names for the days of the week, with the rare exception, like Sunday, Ravivar, Saturday, Shanivar. Shani is Saturn. Monday is the moon day, Somvar, etc. And Brihaspativar was Thursday, the day of Thor or Jupiter. So among the priests of the kings, know me to be Brihaspati, the foremost among them. And then Senanina Maham Skandaha. The Senani, or the leaders, the commanders of the Sena, the commanders of the army. Among the commanders of the army, among all of the generals of all of the armies, know me to be Skanda. Skanda, that is the deity Skanda, who is the lord of the celestial army. So know me to be Skanda or Subramanyam. Sarasam asmi sagara. Sarasam, among the saras, sara means a natural reservoir. It can be a lake, but something which is a natural reservoir of water. And so among the natural reservoirs, I am Sagara. I am the ocean. I am the ocean itself. I'm not a pond, I'm not a lake, but I am the ocean itself among the bodies of natural bodies of water. So again, this is a good point to say something about the importance of these manifestations. The ocean. I'm sure everyone feels something of this, but ever since I was a little kid, going to the ocean was an extraordinary experience for me. There was just this sense of being opening out into the infinite. My earliest memory is when I was 2 years old. And my mother and a friend of hers, a friend of our family, Virginia Baxter, we'd all gone for vacation to Daytona Beach, Florida. And I was 2 years old. The only memory I have is my mother holding one hand and Virginia Baxter holding the other hand, and I was still in diapers. They were walking me out into the ocean, and I had such a wonderful experience just walking into the ocean and feeling that I was merging into the infinite. That was my very earliest memory. So the earliest memory was of the ocean and was of the sense of expansion and freedom and the limitless being. So the ocean, I among bodies of water am the ocean, Sri Krishna says. That is, by going to the ocean, we feel that we're approaching, at least in a physical sense, we feel that we're approaching infinity. And it's much easier for the mind there to feel the sense of freedom, infinity, limitlessness when we sit and look at the ocean. It's extremely calming and relaxing to the mind in a spiritual way. And so that's the purpose of all of these. By looking at the best, the supreme example in every class of things within this universe, we can see that as the manifestation of the divine. Let me say another word about that, about the importance of these things, because many times we read a chapter like chapter 10, and he says, among all of these things, I am among the Rudras, I am Shankara, etc. And it just sounds nice, but what do we do with it? It doesn't sound very practical. It's just a list of names and things that I am this and I am that. Among this, I'm that, and among those, I'm that. What do we do with it? No, remember Sri Ramakrishna, that he said that wherever you find any excellence among in a person, know that that person has a special power of the Divine Mother, that the Divine Mother is manifest in that person in a special way. And that's why Sri Ramakrishna himself would go whenever he heard of a great musician, a great person, a great man, he would want to go to see them, to pay his respects, because he said that wherever you find greatness, there you find a special manifestation of the Divine Mother. Yes, God is manifest in everything. God is all-pervasive. God is what manifests as this universe, every particular and the whole. But we don't see it everywhere so easily. But in the greatest of things, we find there it's easier to see the manifestation of the divine. And so again, that's why Sri Ramakrishna himself, when he heard that there was a great Veena player in Calcutta, he wanted to go to hear the Veena player. When he heard about the Vidyasagar, Pandit Ishwar Chandra, he wanted to go see him, heard about his great philanthropy and his great learning, he wanted to go see him. In that case, and in the case of the Veena player, it wasn't because they were great saints or sages. It was because they were great in one case in music, in another case in learning and in charity. But that was enough for him to want to go and to pay his respects. And so, again, when we come to something like the ocean, it's very easy to see how the very best in the class gives us a sense of expansion. It gives us a sense of the limitlessness of the divine being. So, O son of Partha, that is, know me to be Brihaspati, the foremost among the priests of the kings. Among commanders of armies, I am Skanda, or Subramanya. Among large expanses of water, natural expanses of water, I am the sea. Then verse 25, Maharshinam Bhriguraham Giram Asmyekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi Stavaranam Himalayaha. Maharshinam Bhriguraham. Among the great sages, Maharshis, among the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Bhrigu was one of the great sages of the Vedas. Mentioned in the early part of the Vedas, there are many hymns attributed to Bhrigu, and he features in the third chapter of the Taittiriya Upanishad, Bhrigu Valli, the chapter of Bhrigu. Bhrigu, in the third chapter of the Taittiriya Upanishad, he goes to his father and says, Adhiti Bhagavo Brahmeti, teach me, O revered one, the nature of Brahman. And so then the chapter proceeds with his father teaching him step by step the nature of Brahman until the chapter ends with a beautiful song of enlightenment. Ha-u, 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 ahamannam, 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 etc. He gives expression to the state of enlightenment which he has received through his father's instruction. So Bhrigu is one of the great sages of the Hindu tradition and has been looked on, and of course he's one of the gurus of the family lineages. And so among the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Giram asmyekam aksharam. Among statements, among things that are said, I am the one syllable, the ekaksharam. I am the ekaksharam, which means what? It means Om. So I am the single syllable Om. Why Om? When I am among all statements, I am Om. Why not take some beautiful poetry, some beautiful hymn? Why not say I'm the Vedas or whatever? It's because Om is the primordial gir, the primordial speech. Vak, out of which the whole universe has come. So Om is the highest symbol of the divine, the most universal symbol in Hinduism. It's the essence of truth itself. Om is the Anahata Dhvani, the unstruck sound, as I've explained on other occasions, and many of you know anyway. All sound comes by setting up a vibration. And how do you set up a vibration? One thing has to strike another. You have to have a striking to set up a vibration. How do you start a vibration in any medium? You do it by something striking the medium and setting up wave-like a vibration. And so all sounds, the air hitting the vocal cords makes sound, but something has to strike something else to make a sound. But what about in the beginning of the universe, before there was anything, before there was any sound, before there was speech, before there was thought? So Om is the primordial sound out of which the universe has come, and it's the sound which is sustaining the universe even now. Even now, every moment the universe is coming out of Om, rests in Om, is surrounded by Om. And so among all words and speeches, I am the ekakshara. I am the single syllable, which is Om, because out of that the whole universe has come. And so again, as I said, Om is the most universal of symbols, and it's the most complete symbol. You can't find anything more complete than Om, because it represents at one level the whole universe, because the universe has come out of Om. So when we repeat Om, one of the ways to repeat it is to think that I'm resolving the universe back into its source, Om. But because it's the first impulse of creation that comes out of the divine being, it also represents the divine being. So it represents God as person, the personal God, and it represents the impersonal absolute. So it represents Brahman, the impersonal absolute, the supreme reality, beyond all relationship, beyond time, space, causation, beyond any idea of God, etc., just reality itself. And it also represents God, the divine being, the Purushottama, and it represents the whole universe. So it represents everything. Can you think of anything that's outside of the universe, meaning all worlds, all possible worlds, outside of all of the worlds, and outside of the personal God, and outside of Brahman? No, you can't think of anything that's outside of those three. And Om is the symbol for all three of those. And so there's nothing outside of Om, nothing outside of its meaning, its intent, its artha. And so among all of the utterances, I am the single syllable Om. Yajñānām japa yajñosmi. This is a very famous statement, especially among those who are devotionally minded. Among sacrifices, I am japa yajña, the sacrifice of japa. Japa, as most of you know, is the practice of the repetition of a mantra, the practice of the repetition of the names of God, or the formulae, which are mantras, usually a bija mantra, sometimes Om at the beginning, then a bija mantra, then the name of a deity. Sometimes it's in the form of a sentence. Sometimes Om may not be there. It's just the bija and the name of the deity. There are various forms in which the mantra comes. But japa is the repetition of a mantra which we have received from a guru. So in the Vedic tradition, again, this was a Vedic, late Vedic text. Even if it was written down much later, as it probably was, the tradition that it was that was being recorded was from the Vedic times. And so in the Vedic times, there were all kinds of yajñas, all kinds of sacrifices that were performed. Some of them very complicated, some very simple, just simple offerings to the household fire that everyone would make every day. But of all of the sacrifices, the highest is said to be japa yajña. Why? Why is japa yajña the highest? Because it's that which is the most internal and which takes the mind to the highest level. Holy Mother, Sri Sarala Devi, used to say, Japat Siddhi. Holy Mother didn't know any Sanskrit, but she knew this Sanskrit phrase and probably a few other phrases. Japat Siddhi. From japa comes perfection. And so just through the practice of japa. So in normal sacrifices, you have to have ingredients, you have to have vessels, you have to have maybe a fire to offer into. Even the different sacrifices mentioned in the Gita in the 3rd and 4th chapter. Even there, breathing exercises and so forth, which are considered a sacrifice, or even eating is considered a sacrifice. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, offering the food into the sacrificial fire of the digestion. So all of whether it's an external scripturally prescribed sacrifice and scripturally defined sacrifice, or whether it's some just an action which is more which doesn't take anything external. Still, of all of those sacrifices, japa yajna is that which is the most internal and that which has the power to lead us all the way to perfection, just by the continuous repetition of the mantra. We gradually absorb ourselves into the mantra, we become identified with the mantra, and with the mantra rising to reality, coming out of reality and going into reality, we ourselves enter into that stream of the divine consciousness. And so among all of the yajnas, among all of the sacrifices, I am japa yajna. Stavaranam